You go up to the desk and there'd be the Foursquare. Now we're going to go into real hardcore negotiation. I'm going to go $2,000 over sticker. I'm going to ask you for $10,000 down. I'm going to tell you your payments are what they are on 24 months, and I'm going to give you pull back about $2,000 of your trade. And this whole thing's wham, right? And now we're starting from way up here coming down. Right? This is where I believe things got screwed. Right here.
Welcome to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge, all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, Dealercast Nation? I am Jason Harris.
And I'm Rob Budd.
And I'm Larry Bruce.
And this is Old Guys That Know Some Shit. Some shit. Okay, we know a lot of shit. Podcast.
Near as you can tell.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, man. How was your New Year's?
My New Year's was good, uneventful. Kids are at that age now, they all want to stay up, which kind of sucks because, like, I want to be in bed by, like, 10 o'clock. But
I was in bed by 11:15.
11 o'clock? Done.
See, I got some old guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew how good it would feel to go to bed that early.
You want? Okay. I got something to share with everybody. So, you want to know how I know this is the Old Guys podcast? All right. So, typically when I fly into like a place to like see people and stuff like that, like, there's this level of like entertainment and kind of a late night that kind of goes along with the night before you do something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just fun. It's kind of like an ongoing joke with my wife. She's like, oh, well, where did you go for dinner that night? And where did you go after that? So I texted my wife last night at, let me see, 8:45 p.m. I said, I'm back in the hotel. I'm going to go to bed soon. Her immediate response is, are you okay? What is wrong?
I'm with a couple old guys.
I'm with some old guys, hon.
You also got to keep in mind where we are.
Well, that too.
Because
the tundra.
like when we left, it was 15 minutes to close.
15 minutes to close at 7:30.
That's true.
Well, I love company.
Well, she had to be happy that that's where you were.
She was.
Right.
She was like, she actually said, are you sure?
I think so.
I'm like, yes. Anyways. Hey, for everyone out there watching, listening, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We have a great topic, a fun topic, I think a very timely topic. Today we are going to be deep diving into sales management, leading dealership teams into a modern era. Which is cool because I think I hear kind of this conversation being had around like used car management and stuff like that, and what does the modern used car manager look like? And I've heard the same thing kind of around BDC. What does the modern BDC look like? These things. So I haven't heard this topic too often, and I think this is gonna be cool. Like, really, what does a modern sales manager look like? Because I know what my sales manager looked like when I first started in the business. Where did you think I got? Shut the fuck up and get back to work.
That was a great one. It's so simple, understandable.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to train.
So let's start there. What was the sales manager look like when you guys started?
Go ahead, Larry. You're the retail guy.
Oh, well, my sales manager was a desk man. Yeah, he didn't come off the desk often. Mm-hmm. I got trained by a set of Go tapes that, again, I still want to buy if anybody has theirs. We took the deals to him. Mm-hmm. He wrote on their OK deal, wrote on or Foursquare, whatever the deal was, and that was the extent of my. We didn't have a salesman. I not any time in my car sales career did I ever have the sales manager, Jim Simpson was his name. Did Jim Simpson ever come by my office and say, "Got your follow-ups made for the day"?
No.
No. Where what happened with this guy?
Yeah.
Do you need any help with this, or none of that happened.
No.
I'm going to say, remembering Jim the way I remember him, I'm going to say that wasn't because he didn't know how to be a sales manager. I'm going to say that's because he just naturally expected it got done.
Sure.
Because that's the way I was. That's the way he handed me to go to. He expected me to do these things, and I didn't know any other different way to do it, so I just did them. And he never really thought to inspect what he expected. He just assumed it happened.
Because otherwise, if you
otherwise I'm not
if
selling
you spent
cars.
2 months at the bottom, you got fired.
Right. So you're at the end of the death row for too long, you're dead.
Yeah.
Dead man walking. So, I would tell you that, that part of it, but Jim never sat with me and showed me how to take a phone call. Jim never showed me how to take an up other than he didn't want to hear, can I help you? That was the only thing he ever told me was, I don't want you to.
How big of a store was it?
Ron Kraft was, we sold 150 to 200
How many guys
cars.
did you have selling on the floor?
We had probably 25 to 30 at any given. It fluctuated, but yeah. I mean, it was a sizable store. But I don't have these memories of, or these experiences where the sales manager's actually being a sales manager. And I've had this discussion with people in retail recently, many, on, just exactly where we're headed here. And I'm going to tell you, you're headed back to the future. Maybe what was never happened. I don't really know exactly what to call it, except for that you're going to be a sales coach now. That's really what you need.
Sure.
And the sales coach isn't the desk guy. He's the guy on the floor. He's the guy that he's not sitting at a desk. He's like a shark. He's always moving.
Almost, I'm following you. It's almost more like a process manager.
No, he's a sales coach.
Process.
A sales coach is really a floor manager.
Yeah.
And the floor manager's job is to, one, sit down, go through and show you how to take a phone call. Do your one-on-ones. And the one-on-ones aren't to make sure you did everything. It's to show you how to do what you're supposed to go do. Too many managers think a one-on-one today is, did you make all your follow-ups? Did you call this guy? Did you call this guy? That's not what that's about.
Today they need to be a trainer, among other things. They need to train on the activities required to get the job done.
Make the phone call. Let him make a phone call. You make a phone call.
Okay. So
in order to be that person, you have to go back to the genesis of when that person started, because someone had to teach that person what that.
Right.
To do.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah,
so so if you're a coach, if you're a sales coach, you first you show, then you document.
Yep.
Then you let them show you. Right.
So they got to play trainer, coach.
Yeah.
Process engineer.
Yeah. And
process manager.
Right. And again. If I'm sitting at your desk and I want you to follow up, if I'm doing my one-on-one with you and I want you to follow up, I want to first show you, I want to make the phone call.
Yes.
Right. And then then I want to document that process of what I went through the phone call. And then I want you to do a phone call.
So now I'm trying to capture all this and map all this in my head. So does the sales manager have to both train and coach on the process, or they need to create the process that they train and coach on?
They need the process of training and coaching. Coaching and training are two different. Coaching and process are two different things.
I got to train them on the activities required to execute on these processes. I got to coach them through the optimization required for them to effectively execute that process better and more consistently. I get that, but are they also responsible for documenting the process and creating the process?
Well, how do you coach it if you don't?
Well, no, I'm with you. I'm not actually disagreeing. I'm just trying to break this down because I think dealerships
So
out there generally don't
talking
understand.
about a brand new sales manager or a sales manager that came up through an organization? Because
I think anybody that has that position needs to be able to do.
If they have this position, they should know the process already. It should be done if they have it. I mean,
in some ways, yeah. Well, well, think about it. Well, think about it this way. I mean, if you are a salesperson new to the floor manager process, then you're in the same store. Then all really you're doing is coming in and taking over the process that the last guy did. Right.
Exactly.
And that should be the way it is, but that's not always the way it is, right? But if you're in a new store, well, then you're documenting the process. But to document the process, you have to first do the process.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Then document the process, and then let them do the process, and then optimize and make sure that process is working the way it should. But that's again, you're back to the floor manager's job, not the desk manager's job. The floor manager's
So you
job.
do still believe there has to be two managers?
Well, unfortunately,
I find that pretty rare, to be honest with you. I don't know if you guys.
what, a floor manager and a desk manager?
Yeah, no, sales manager and a floor manager.
Well, I mean, yeah, or a sales manager and a floor manager. I think the problem with the problem with only having one trying to have the sales manager be the floor manager, or trying to have the floor manager be the sales manager, is he can't be available. He can't be available to desk a deal and do the one-on-one. He can't be available to take the TO and do the one-on-one, or or be on the desk. You have to have another guy watching the floor. And realistically, this is your first promotion from floor towards management, is to be the floor manager. Show me that you can do the thing that you've been doing.
Sure.
Right? And that you can teach it and coach people on it. Make sure that the documentation is all still there, and that they're following the documentation, and that they're doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's there. It's show, document, do. Right? That's the floor manager's position. And you're next up for the floor manager is a sales manager / desk manager. Right? That's your next move up.
Yep.
Then from floor manager to desk manager, F&I maybe. And I would say those are interchangeable, because there's a lot of people, and I don't necessarily disagree with this theory, that you should be a F&I manager before you're a desk manager, because you got to know what can get bought.
Sure.
You got to know about where it's going to get bought at when you're trying to desk that deal. So it might be floor manager to F&I.
Well, and I also think, is really necessary to have a desk manager. I'm looking at some of the new technologies that are coming out, and the way that it's, putting data together, success, and so on, and it's giving you the directions. Like, I don't know if the desking manager is actually necessary anymore.
My nephew sells Lexuses down at Park Place in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And he's his sales guy. He's his desk man. He's his
own desk manager.
Yeah, he does it all.
Yeah. And
he's 23 years old, and he was the number one sales guy on the used side last month out of 45 guys on the floor.
Sure.
Trey's his name. Trey never sold cars ever, first right out of college. But
technology
did
and
what
process.
He was told to do.
Yeah,
right?
Technology and process.
Just did what he told to do, right? But at the same time, and you may not need that desk manager soon, but you do need a process to where when you're negotiating or desking a deal, if you're doing it yourself, you give the customer room for you to be away. They will not talk. A husband and a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, will not talk to each other the way they need to if you're there.
Sure.
But if you give them room, that was always one of the benefits of having to leave and go get the information from the manager. I have a reason to be away from you.
For them to talk.
Right.
And then you can leave your device on and you can listen to what they have to say.
We used to have intercoms when we could listen to.
Well, that's true. We used to. I remember some of those very interesting conversations. Yeah. Did you smell the breath on that guy? No.
It's happened.
Anyways, so really kind of looking at what the role of a sales manager is today, is I got to be a deal closer, and I got to be a coach. And I got to be a trainer, and not only that, but I also need to be able to be proficient in all of the technology that is now being required of me to utilize in the sales process, including things like digital retailing.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
So I got to know whatever my desking tech is or my DMS tech, so that I can set that up for the F&I, and then I also need to. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just literally saying it is what it is. This is what it is.
If you're headed
are we
down
looking
that
at too much on this individual?
Yeah. If you're headed down the path of where you're going to have the salesperson negotiate the deal all the way to the end, and also then be the F&I guy too, yeah, that guy better know that process end to end, and you better have one.
Yeah.
Because you're DOA if you don't. That's absolutely critical. And I still think that we're back to this human nature thing that we keep getting away from, right?
Yep.
That if I come in as the quote unquote manager, right?
Yep.
And I sit down with a person across the desk for negotiation, they are going to act differently with me than they did with you.
Of course. Yes.
Well,
Customer
the relationship is different.
Well, because you're the manager.
The position is different.
You're the manager.
You're the manager.
I mean, and so not having that relationship or that process in place, you got to have it somehow. You got to have somebody. There's the reason we call it a TO wasn't because people were leaving. The TO before was really because the customer wasn't committing or couldn't get there, and they wouldn't tell the salesperson they were talking to why they wouldn't, and a new person came in and they did tell them. This happened time and time, and that's why the TO started happening. And then it morphed, just like the BDC, it morphed into something that was saving you from walking out the door.
Yes. So if the sales manager is ultimately responsible for the closing of the deal,
he's the new face, and he's not responsible for every close, just the ones that aren't getting closed.
Okay. Then let's talk a little bit about what the salesperson looks like then. All right. Like at what point, like what is the responsibilities then of that salesperson?
That salesperson's to do the easy stuff, man. Meet, greet, document. Hi, welcome to ABC Motors. I'm Larry Bruce, and you are. Great to meet you. Is this welcome back or welcome in?
So they're a greeter.
They're not just a greeter.
They're a telephone qualifier.
Then they've got to build their rapport. They've got to take them to the inventory. They've got to show the inventory. They've got to bring them in, set them down at the desk, write the deal, write the customer up. And then they've got to go through the normal either desking process, whatever process starts from there. Now, this is where things get interesting because you've got a lot of different ways that this is going to start. Either one, there's one school of thought where you write the deal up. You write. I mean, well, as we did it when I first got in the business, you wrote the whole thing up. I would start every one of this. I'd sit down. Now, Jason, how would you like this vehicle titled? That was my first test close. Right. And I would write out the ad, and we're going to title it to what address. And everything was about title it. As far as I'm concerned, you bought the car.
Sure.
Right. And then I would write down the MSRP, and I would calculate out the entire taxes, everything, including everything I got from his trade. I didn't say a word until I filled out the entire buyer's order, and I spun it around, set right there. Now I just need you to sign right here, and I need to get a check for your $2,000 down payment, and I'll go ahead and get the paperwork started. I assumed that sale from the very beginning. 9 times out of 10, well, I shouldn't say I wasn't a 90% closer, but a larger percentage of the time than not, they just signed and gave me a check. Right?
Yep.
There's that school of thought. Then there's a school of thought of write it all up. Let me go get the numbers from my manager. That's common now, very common.
Well,
it wasn't as common.
Those are probably the two primary.
Two primary wasn't,
yes.
But the first one's not as common as the second one now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then that's when you go to this was actually this process, this Foursquare process was really kind of pretty much, I guess, optimized by Jerry Reynolds in Dallas I'm trying to remember the name of his Ford store, but you go up to the desk and there'd be the Foursquare. Now we're going to go into real hardcore negotiation. I'm going to go $2,000 over sticker. I'm going to ask you for $10,000 down. I'm going to tell you your payments are what they are on 24 months, and I'm going to give you pull back about $2,000 a year trade. And this whole thing's wham, right? Yep. And now we're starting from way up here coming down. Right? This is where I believe things got screwed right here, because it was just over the top too much,
just ridiculous.
Outside crazy too much.
And I think that's what helped the perception of consumers to believe that there are tens of thousands
of dollars of markup in there. 'Cause there was, 'cause I built it.
Because that's what they presented for how many years, right? Yeah.
I built that markup, right? Yeah. And then you started negotiating from there. But then the negotiations always went wrong way. Yep. I mean, at this point, you're negotiating, and and this is where you hear, well, let's split the difference, all this the knuckle stuff that made people think you had more money in the car than you did.
Yes.
Reality was, this is where the desk or the floor coach or the floor manager, the sales coach, this is his job. This is his job now to show a salesperson how to come down or discount without saying, "Yeah, I was trying to screw you before."
And so digital retailing obviously demolished that entire model. Like you can't do that and use digital retailing at the same time. Like it's not.
Well, you can't do them at the same time, but you can do one or the other. And and most of the people who have gotten out of digital retailing, have closed these digital retailing things down, have gone back to this.
Okay, so let's get into, what does sales management, I guess, look like for, from the future moving forward. We've had a few podcasts now where we've talked a lot of things are changing. Everything from the way that we approach data, to the way that we market, to the way we storytell, to the technology of the cars themselves. What does, if I'm coming into the business and my objective is to be a manager in the next 5 years, well,
I think that's probably one of the toughest parts is hiring new people.
Yeah.
Right?
And how do you train?
The work ethic of today's up-and-coming generation is different than the work ethic that we installed or was installed in us, at least for me, and I'm same for you guys. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to predict how that will turn out when you don't know how they were taught.
Yeah, or how they were brought up. I mean, realistically, most car dealerships are still on straight commission, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so the reality is that I get in here and I don't put in the work, and then I'm gone, and then I blow out. I'm gone.
I'm Grim Reapered.
Yeah, you're Grim Reaper. You Grim Reaper yourself, right?
Well, and so do you embrace kind of some of those hybrid models now, where it's the blending in the person and the digital retailing kind of into it, where it's really the person is helping facilitate the digital retailing process and moving forward?
Well, I think it comes down to profitability, right? And margins and how you're going to make money, right? And with all these new not profit centers, expense centers, right? How are you going to make dough? What's your gross? What are you going to get down to? What's your operating net?
Yeah,
I heard it's 2%.
Oh, that's the normal dealer, yeah.
So it's difficult today. It's very difficult today.
Well, I mean, the gun organization, Tony, Tony's, they're one price.
Yeah.
And they operate very well and very efficiently that way. They make money.
How do they do it on used?
They're doing well on used. I mean,
but they do. They can't do one price on the used, can they?
Well, they can't because and I think that's what we're looking at. Some of the future technologies, like you're looking at AI optimizing pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Just
optimizing the customer interactions and follow-ups and stuff like that.
But what does AI optimize that price on?
Well, as much data as we can push into the model right now.
Yeah, I mean, but that's really that's not AI. AI cannot
determine the credit score and what you're going to get.
No, it's not just even that. No. I mean, AI can't determine, can't give you rules. It can only operate by the rules you give it.
Sure.
Right. So I mean, these guys that think that AI is going to come in and optimize the data.
I think
data optimizes AI.
I think
it's the other way around. Okay, if you're desking a deal, for example,
sure.
If I'm desking a deal and I'm looking at taking a short deal on a popular car. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've worked it. AI doesn't know if I've worked this to the end. It has no idea.
Okay. So let's go down that path because I actually kind of like this rabbit hole. I don't believe sales managers have enough data to effectively make the right decision.
I don't disagree with that.
At that point of desk where I do see an AI model having access to multiple sets of data to actually say,
But
this is the price.
It doesn't, but it doesn't need that, and you don't need AI to do it.
No.
I mean, realistically, the desk man needs this. This is what I want. What I would go look for when I could.
Sure.
But what I would expect the desking application to have in it, right? If I'm at a short deal on a popular car, the first thing I'm going to look at is this an existing customer or a potential customer? If it's an existing customer, okay, how many vehicles have they bought from us? Well, they bought 3. Okay, I'm now more inclined to take this short deal.
But do desking managers have access to that kind of data? Most of
They
the ones I
should.
do
They should.
don't.
They don't. But they should. I mean, this is if I'm building in my old.
we're talking about and beyond. Yeah, we're
in the
talking
desking
about future.
in the desking
Yeah.
program from PSX from the power sports side where I just got through with. Yes, they had that kind of data.
There you go.
Okay.
But what the AI could do is it can do your day's turn and figure out which units you turn.
Yeah, well,
quicker,
well, see, well,
right?
that was
and then the payment.
Well, no,
what payment moves the money?
Actually, it's a little bit kind of close to that. It's like, so if I'm dead, the next piece of data I'm going to look at, right, is how old is this vehicle, and do I have another one older I can flip them to?
Sure.
Right. So if there's another one like it, similar or just like it, that's older, I'm going to flip them to that one. Okay. So now I know I'm inclined to take the deal, and I know what I'm going to take the deal on. Now, the next thing I'm going to look at is where do they live? Am I inclined to get this service business or not?
Yeah.
Right. So if they live close to me, they're in my PMA, or they have it looks, or they do service business with me now. Now these 3 data pieces align. I can make this deal.
Yep.
Well, I think I would also include incentives in there, and not just the incentives.
Oh, you're talking about the stair-step program.
Well, yeah, you have to include it all in there.
Yeah,
right?
but no, I don't disagree with that. But that would actually go back to that would not make it that. Now we're not talking about a short deal anymore. Now I've got $200 over invoice now, and I got another $500 I'm going to get in my stair-step program, and I'm 5 deals away from my stair-step program.
Yep.
Okay.
I gotta roll
now I got to roll. Now I'm going to roll it. I'm going to make $700 if I make the next 5, and I'm likely to make the next 5. So we're going to get this. We're going to go ahead and take this deal.
You know, that stair-step stuff's scary, man.
It is scary.
Because you can
And this is where I think you can rely on a piece of technology to really effectively help you with this.
Yeah. I mean, but it's technology that does it, not necessarily AI. AI doesn't know the popularity of the vehicle. It doesn't understand the correlation yet, and may never, between not just the popularity of the vehicle, but the popularity of the vehicle, how many of them you had in stock, how many
yeah,
of them,
but
how many people
I
are
don't
looking
agree
at
with
that.
that. I don't agree with that because I think that there's enough data points and transaction data points, right? Because the inventory ain't going to change that much that you can dial in on this stuff. Absolutely.
Well, you can, but again, I've got to make a decision. I can't have AI make the decision.
No, it's not going to make the decision.
But AI
it can roll up the right product for
it
the
can
right
score
person.
it.
Yeah, score
and say, look, here's a score
Yeah.
of whether or not. I mean,
Well, tell you what kind of cars to order.
This is a 50. This is a 50%.
Inventory management.
Inventory management is huge.
Yeah, but that's not AI. That's all just algorithms, but which are different.
Yes.
And I've scored this deal as a 75% yes deal.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And now it's still 25%. Right. That I've got to make as a person, make a determination on whether or not I should roll this. Right. And all that comes back to, well, how many does the salesperson have out? Are they teetering on the edge of leaving?
Yeah, I cannot do
Are they? Did they work this deal right? Did they
How many hours have they been sitting in my showroom?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
How many hours have they been sitting in my showroom? You know, all these. There's a ridiculous number of factors that the desk manager needs to take into account. This is always, you know, I've had this conversation with people at A to Z many times. Mm-hmm. You know, there's so many factors that have to go into this. I don't think you can build a computer program to get it all done.
No,
I just don't see it happening.
No.
Yeah.
Challenge set. If you're a tech company out there, you're listening to this podcast, you probably should be. Here we go.
Yeah.
We've given you a challenge. Now go do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the I mean, how many times you've been back and forth?
But I also think that does go to, you know, an ultimate objective of the holy grail of customer experience, right?
Right.
Because now there's a level of transparency, speed, and convenience, right? Like, I don't know anybody that wants to spend 2 hours at a dealership.
I don't think
anybody anybody has that, right? But look, if a piece of technology like that can optimize my pricing and get the information to me quicker, again, now there's a higher level of transparency. There's a higher level of speed and convenience now.
Well,
that's
but
built into
still
the
a person has to deliver that message. So here I am. The AI's figured out the price, right? It's looked at. If the AI, the smart.
Maybe we should make customers negotiate with the computer.
Somebody tried that a long time ago, and so you took, and this was my comment. It wasn't Neil Gann. Who was it? May have been Neil. I don't remember which one of them it was. So, but my comment was this: so you took a process people hate and let them do that faster. Okay.
Sounds about right.
Sounds
It's like
plausible.
going to the dentist.
Yeah, sounds plausible. I could just go to the dentist faster now.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That sounds great.
Right.
Couldn't
Can't
get
wait.
out. That's
Can't wait.
Hey, the two most disliked professions are dentists and car dealers. You know why that is? You don't do either one with frequency.
No.
Right.
So, but if you are going to desk, if I was a computer and I was going to try to desk this deal, then I'm going to take into account first the popularity of the car. Second, any other incentives, any reason I should get rid of this car.
Yep.
Third, the customer's relationship with the store. Fourth, then how many people have looked at it on my website, and what's the possibility that, or the likelihood that I'm going to sell this car for more money later, right?
That's a dangerous danger.
Yeah.
As a sales manager, I need to be a data aggregator. Is what it sounds like.
On the fly.
On the fly.
That's what if you're.
That's called experience.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But if I was going to try to build a computer to take these negotiations or to make it on a deal, these are all the factors I would want to factor in, and then I'd still want to factor in a score, and I don't think I'd ever get 100%. I think I get somewhere in between the 60 and 80 percentile range, and there still have to be this.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, but there still have to be this subjectivity.
Yep.
Because if you're at 80, whether you're at 60% or 80%, okay, and you tell the salesperson you're at 60% percentile range, do you want to take the deal? Yes. You're at 40% percentile range. Do you want to take the deal? Yes. The salesperson's going to take the deal no matter what, and what he was going to do is he's going to take that deal for as quickly as he can, because you know what he's afraid of? Always that at any time when he goes back to talk to that customer or looks at they'll leave. He's terrified. Absolutely mortified that they will leave. Because when they get up to go leave, I have no idea how to handle it. How do I set them back down? I don't know what to do. Oh my God, they're leaving. What do I do?
Well, no, you're right. You're right. Like, guys, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation, and I think this is a great conversation to have. I mean, what does a sales manager look like today, and what is a sales manager going to look like, in the future? I mean, for me, I think it's like I have to start now managing tools, I have to manage insights, and I have to be a strategy manager in addition to it, right? And for me, that's where I see the future of management kind of going. And to your point, Larry, I do agree. It's not a one-person role. It has to be almost multiple people now to effectively get what you need to get done. I mean,
you'd be better off doing that than building a BDC.
Absolutely.
No,
it costs you less money.
Yes,
it would cause you less money, and you're right. And there is a lot of different prices. Here, look, guys, if you're out there watching, listening right now, we're having this conversation because you guys should be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Do you need to go out and literally just rip apart your entire team and all of your tech? No, we're not saying that at all.
No.
But this conversation does need to be had so that you can stress test, the people that you have in the processes and the technologies that you're currently using right now.
And there's something to be said for if it ain't broke, break
Don't fix it.
No, break
or
it.
break it. Yeah.
Break it.
There's always, I've always kind of loved being, from an operations perspective, is kind of having that percentage of operational time that I invested just to break whatever I think is working. Because to your point, if I don't know,
if you haven't tried anything else, you don't know what might work better.
Exactly.
100%. And if you're not always trying to work better, then you're going to end up like the apple in the tree, man.
And I think that's some phenomenal advice for everybody out there that's watching and listening. Hey, thank you so much, by the way, for taking the time to watch or listen to us today. This has been a really fun episode. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to see additional episodes like this, Larry, where can they see more episodes?
TheDealercast.com. That's where to go, where it's happening.
That's where it's happening. That's the happening place to go to.
100%.
It's happening. It is happening.
It's happening.
It's happening.
I had to say something.
Ron had to get something in there.
It's happening.
There we go, Rob. Hey, if you're out there watching and listening, again, we really appreciate your time. One of the biggest compliments you can give us as content creators is to share the show. If there's a colleague or a friend or a manager that you know that needs to see some portion of today's conversation, it means a tremendous amount to us when you share the show. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to jam it today, and thank you out there for watching and listening. You all have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.